The bass spawn is an exciting time of year for anglers. With the females full of eggs, the spawn is your best chance to catch the fish of a lifetime. In this segment of Sportsman TV, pro angler Greg Hackney has some tips and tricks to help you get ready to fish the spawn.
You know, I've started off in this area. Now I have a competitor, my buddy the brown pelican. And so the deal is I kind of figured they'd be spawning. I've not fished in a while in this area. Just as soon as I dropped the trolling motor, I noticed the water's 65 degrees. And now we've fished long enough to know that they're into the spawn. I mean, you know what I mean now. They're not just pre-spawn. They're not just out there. They've been out there. I can tell by the marks on the fish, a couple fat ones. The one thing I have truly dialed in is the habitat. They want to be on a hard line. And you know, here, this area that we're in is the bank. So anywhere the lilies have the bank blacked out, I'm not able to get a bite. So I feel like what's happening, these fish are spawning on this root system on this sawgrass. We've got good wind today, just great conditions for winding a bait around. And so basically what I'm gonna do is try to cover as much of this area as I can. But right now I'm just having fun, just slinging and going and getting lots of bites. You know, this is actually the actual main bank of the actual canal. This area is big, no, not a big one, but a nice one. So now we've established, as long as you have hard bank, you have bass. And these fish are healthy, so I know they've been out there for a little while, but when it gets late in the spawn, they're like this particular fish, you know, his fins are a little roughed up, but they'll just start to lose body weight because they don't feed much. Even though you can catch them with a lure, everything that they would eat is avoiding them because they're in a defensive posture right now. And of course, I'm putting that bladed jig right in there where they're spawning at, and they're just guarding that area.
Understanding bass behavior and habits during the spawn can help you locate the right places in the area you're fishing.
The reason bass need a hard bottom or something like it could be cypress knees, a stump, something hard, they've got to be able to keep that silt fanned off the nest, because if they were on a soft bottom, what would happen, those eggs would just go in the silt and then get covered by more silt. So they have to have a place they can keep clean.
After locating multiple fish spawning against exposed sawgrass bushes, Greg can now focus on those areas without wasting time on less productive spots.
You know, the biggest thing about the spawn is there's always something to isolate those fish. It's not random. It's never random during a spawn. There's always a reason that fish is there. Something to do with the bottom, something to do with the habitat, some way they can, there's always a reason. There's always something that they like. It's almost like it's easier to pattern them when they're spawning than it is before they spawn. Because before they spawn, you can catch one out there out of the grass, one under a mat. But when they start spawning, there's one deal, you know, is the deal.
Greg's most productive bait of the day was a vibrating jig called the Strike King Thunder Cricket.
Now today the key bait has been that vibrating jig. This bait comes in from a 1/4 ounce all the way up to a 3/4 ounce. Actually, this version right here is a 1/2 ounce Strike King Thunder Cricket of a matching blade mint on the back green pumpkin. With the water clarity like it is, we've had some wind today. It's just perfect conditions. I like to get out there and roam around like we did today when you can. Typically, anytime you get the right conditions, even if this is not the best lure to catch them all with, some of them will show themselves. And that was a big thing this morning is we just wanted these fish to, we don't know, we're striking out in a new area. I just needed for one of them to show up. And so we basically dialed in with it, and it was actually ended up being, you know, one of the better lures for today for the fish we caught.
In addition to the Thunder Cricket, Greg also had success using a Strike King Rage Bug.
Yeah, well, I'm fixing to go to a bottom bait. It's a Rage Bug. But the cool thing about it is it has swimming legs, and since those fish seem like they like something moving, even though it's gonna go to the bottom, it's gonna swim to the bottom. And then after I pitch it in and fish around where I think these beds are, I'll swim it back. The last one that bit me, I had fished around a spot where earlier I would have said it was guaranteed, and I didn't get a bite, and I pitched that bladed jig in and let it go to the bottom and hopped it, and one swiped at it. And I was like, yep, you know, the sun's getting so bright, it's getting later in the day. Got a 5/0 hook, it's a 1/4 ounce weight. And the reason, you know, sometimes this time of the year I'd use even lighter weight, like an 1/8 ounce or a 1/16, but this bait drags a lot of water, and it sinks in the water like you're using an 1/8 ounce. And that bigger weight just helps you pitch it a little bit. And I can get it up there around those lilies, slip it through some of those cracks. Didn't take long, did it? And really key deal is, I caught one almost every cast down this stretch with that bladed jig. And that's just a cool thing about being able to come back, especially this time of the year with a piece of plastic, and get you some few bites. I mean, it's literally like the second cast in an area where you would have thought I caught every one of them. Now, see, it's like the first time I went through there, I caught the bigger ones, which were the females, which seemed to be the most aggressive. And now I'm plucking those males off. But I really expect to catch another big one by slowing down, because typically, a lot of times it's the female that is the hardest to catch when they're out there. I believe it's a spawning bass. You know, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. I think if you try some of this, you'll catch more bass during the spawn. Join us here next time on Sportsman TV.